In this video, I wanted to recap all of the important information, particularly regarding leaks for Janus Towers, the DLC 4 map for Black Ops 6 Zombies. The reason for this is I made a very long video on this map before, literally being 45 minutes in length, in that about 30% of it was leaks, and the rest of it was going into all of the storyline information from Shattered Veil setting up the map. Because of its length, I know that there are some people that might just want to know the key details about the map before we head into it, and don't really have the time or patience to be able to sit through such a long video. So I thought I would make this precise recap so that if you don't have the time or patience for that, or you just don't really care about the storyline stuff, you can be easily filled in. So before I get into all of that, let's first talk about the release date. So of course we don't have a confirmed release date just yet, but so far we've been seeing a new map every single season. Trek have been extremely consistent, more consistent than ever, probably because they had 4 years to work on this game. And lots of people are thinking this might mean we might get a DLC 5 or more maps than used to. I know that's been leaked. I'm not exactly convinced with that, just because Trek are also working at COD 2025 simultaneously. It's a lot of work for them to do, and marketing for that needs to begin at some point, probably not that too far away, so they probably need to wrap up this storyline to begin that, otherwise it would spoil the whole return of the original characters, even though it's been spoiled by leaks anyways. Now, we know that Season 4 is going to be on May 28th or 29th, judging by the Battle Pass end date, so this could potentially, I guess, be when Janus Towers drops. But Janus Towers, judging by the ending of Shattered Veil, seems like it's a much bigger map, one of the biggest we've seen, probably the biggest since Terminus. I mean, Shattered Veil was a pretty colossal map as well, so I feel like it might need more time in the oven, especially if it is going to be the finale map and the rumors about DLC 5 might be false. Surely they need more time to get that right. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think it'll be then? Now, of course, we've had delays with seasons in the past, so it is possible this might get pushed back a bit. We shall see. Alternatively, it could be in Season 4 Reloaded, which would probably be about a month after May 28th, so maybe the end of June / the beginning of July. If not, then it's probably a month after that with Season 5's release date. Again, probably either at the end of July or the beginning of August. I think that could be actually a good time for it, because by then we would already be getting Black Ops 7 COD 2025 marketing. However, probably Zombies would have just gotten a little bit of marketing, a little bit of teasers, but it won't have been fully revealed at that point. So then they can release Janus Towers, and then the COD 2025 Zombies marketing can go into full swing right after. Now, of course, that would leave a big gap at the end, but there are rumors that Black Ops 7 might be releasing a bit earlier, for example, in October, to try and get ahead of GTA 6. There are also rumors that there's no Season 6 for Black Ops 6, ironically. So that's also a possibility for why it might be Season 5, and that would mean we only have one season without a Zombies map. If that's the case, I don't know what's going to release in Season 4, because we're getting the Mark II in Season 3 Reloaded to all maps, so that's not going to be saved for Season 4. So we might just get new modes. I know a grief mode and a classic mode and some other things have been found in the files, so we might just get modes or some other bonus content, new perks, augments, etc., which I'll talk about in a little bit. Now, even though I said I won't talk about the storyline stuff, I do just want to give a quick 1 to 2 minute recap on the important story details you need to know before we jump into the leaks. First of all, obviously this map is set up right at the end of the Shattered Veil cutscene. We are heading to Janus Towers, where Colton's power plant has been retrofitted by Project Janus to install these ether reactors, but they are melting down. There's smoke arising from it, it's collapsing. You do also see that there are these blue streams flowing through not just the towers themselves, but also the background. I don't know if that's element 115, considering it's a very similar blue texture, or what exactly that is, whether it's Ethereum or something else. It's clearly powering these, and clearly it's been retrofitted in this way because Richtofen needs these towers to charge the Sentinel artifact properly to unleash its full potential, which he wants to use to restore his wife and son back from the dead. But the SAM AI has unfortunately stolen his plan, and she wants to use the Sentinel artifact powered with these towers in a similar way to try and inhabit the real Samantha Maxis's body, so that she can become a physical being herself instead of just an artificial intelligence held inside of the SAM AI orb. We do see Sam is missing after you complete the Easter egg, so she's probably teleported away. She probably has teleportation powers, similar to how she teleported Richtofen into the liminal space and has made her way over to Janus Towers for the final thing she needs with the Sentinel artifact, after we've handed it to her. Maybe the artifact even allowed her to do so. Speaking of the SAM AI orb, obviously she is probably going to be the boss fight on the map. We've been talking about on the channel that Zykov, maybe a brain-dead version of him, is actually inside the core powering her, which explains why we've not heard of Zykov at all. And the droning noise she makes is exactly like the C tower on Terminus, showing that it's probably the same mainframe linked together. And we hear on the intel on Terminus that they've heard of a German woman who often sounds like a girl, a child, from there, which is obviously referring to the Sam AI, and also an angry Russian man who is probably Zykov. So we could fight Sam, and there we go, we kill her. Maybe it then unleashes Zykov after. Although if we're correct that Zykov is basically being contained and trapped or even brain dead, then he wouldn't be a threat anymore. If we defeat Sam, we defeat Zykov at the same time. I think it would be a bit jarring for Trek to pull the, whoa, Zykov is the big bad all along 2 games in a row. Well, I say 2 games in a row. I know we've had Modern Warfare Zombies and Vanguard in between, but they don't really count as full-on experiences to me. This is the sequel to Cold War, so I don't think they're really going to do that. But then we also know that Blanchard as well as Panos are going to be involved in the map, because Panos, after he stole the essence of our characters and exited the Dark Ether to find some friends at the end of the Liberty Falls Easter egg, has headed to Janus Towers. Blanchard, who was camping out in Colton Hall, saw him running there on the surveillance monitors, so he chased him through the town of Liberty Falls itself to then get there. So we're going to see both on this map. Obviously, probably Blanchard's not been successful in stopping Panos just yet, but we could see some sort of confrontation between the two, which I think could be really epic. Everyone loves Blanchard as a character, and I think they like Panos too, so we could see a nice rivalry there. The only thing is, though, if Panos is going to be some sort of evil on the map, we know he's been speaking to a mysterious entity from the Dark Ether, which I've made videos speculating who that could be, whether it be the Shadow Man, whether it be the Shadow Smiths, or they are one and the same, or whether it could be, I don't know, maybe even COD FX, or whether it could be some sort of alternative version of Richtofen we could see in COD 2025, or whether it could be some other demonic entity from the Dark Ether. He is doing the bidding for someone who has told him that whatever he plans to do, he will have to burn for it with his body and soul. And I don't know about you, but that sounds so much like the Shadow Man to me. I mean, you literally see doing the summoning key rituals on Shadows of Evil that the summoning key actually sets on fire as it does so. So it has me wondering if that's what it could be about. But the Warden similarly said, "I'm going to burn before entering the threshold."
The time has come. The sponge is wet on my crown. The cap screws tightened. The switch in my hand. Oh, I'm going to burn.
Does this suggest that it is indeed the Shadow Man potentially talking to him? Probably Panos is working for the Shadow Smiths in some capacity. It has to do with COD 2025, and maybe he wants the Sentinel artifact for his own reason. Probably he has something to do with why the original characters are going to be returning in COD 2025 as well. Maybe they're even the friends he was referring to. Now we know from the intel on the map that whoever the entity is has to be a man and not a woman, so it can't be Samantha Maxis like we previously thought. But the thing is, if Panos is going to be an evil entity on the map, are we going to have 2 boss fights, the Sam AI and also Panos, or is Panos just going to be involved in the storyline? I don't know how these 2 things are going to play out, because basically we have 2 evil entities, and as far as we're aware, Panos and the Sam AI are not working together, unless maybe that's established on the next map and they end up working together, and then we only really have 1 bad entity to defeat. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. But regardless, if Sam is defeated, we then have the Shadow Smiths, and we then have potentially Panos to worry about after for COD 2025, or vice versa, I guess. If the Sam AI ends up getting a physical body like she wants with the Sentinel artifact, maybe she'll be successful. Maybe that's even the arm that pulls Ava at the ending of Modern Warfare Zombies, and she seemingly is working for the Shadow Smiths, considering she seems to be with her. So there's a lot of questions there. Regardless, it seems like we're going to be seeing basically 3 teams going head to head. Who wants the Sentinel artifact? Richtofen wants it for his family, the Sam AI wants it for a real body, and finally Panos wants it for some reason, probably to do with the Shadow Smiths wanting to bring the original characters back. And the biggest story reveal I think that's probably going to come out of the map is we still need to find out exactly why the hit, the assassination attempt, was ordered on Richtofen's life before the events of Cold War in around 1982, carried out by Samantha and Weaver. That's the big question, because right now it's hard to determine anyone's motivations without understanding why that was actually carried out. It's hard to understand who is actually guilty or understand people's morals truly. We know Richtofen's clearly done wrong, but without understanding if he was the victim in this situation or did something to put himself in that situation and did wrong before the events of Cold War and before setting up Requiem and Janus, we don't know, because he could have been living a normal life and only turned to darkness after his family were burned. And again, it's hard to determine how guilty Weaver and Sam are in this situation, if they were just given the orders or if they were directly involved. Maybe Samantha even wanted to rid Richtofen because she was jealous, like I've talked about in prior theory videos, that maybe she wanted him dead because she was jealous of the new life he got to lead and he was chosen for adoption while she remained in Germany in the orphanage. savage. And she then wanted to destroy something beautiful. Not wanting his family to die, she clearly says in the intel she wanted to keep Samuel safe and he was not meant to be involved in all of this, but her intel was clearly skewed. But she might have wanted Richtofen to die, but not his family. Either way, it would make her actions horrible. So we don't know. It's hard to have any weight or judge these characters really without understanding. So that's probably going to be the big reveal for the map, if I had to guess, as well as, of course, the original characters probably returning as the cliffhanger. But in terms of the Dark Ether story itself, this is basically going to be a book note at the end, really, I think. We're going into a new chapter now, even if Requiem and even if the other characters are still involved in some way, we're going back really to a lot of the old Ether stuff. Whilst it might merge together, I think this is going to be the bookend of the story from Cold War to BO6. I also do hope that Richtofen, like I talked about in the last video, is playable on this map, considering he's literally leading us into the towers themselves. But then again, he was literally there with the boss fight against the Z-Rex, and he just helped us with equipment and stuff, throwing us from the side. So he could just be on the comms during the Easter egg. Regardless, whatever happens, we're going to hear from him a lot more in this map. I just really hope he's playable. If he's not part of the crew, I just hope they give him as an operator bonus for completing the Easter egg, or maybe even with a super Easter egg. In fact, that could be a good thing that releases after all of the maps are out. Let's say it does release in Season 4, then Season 5 they could release a super Easter egg. I think that would be awesome. I really hope Richtofen's playable though. I know we're going to get to play him in COD 2025, but that's going to be a different version of Richtofen, so I don't think it's going to be quite the same. But I don't think Janus Richtofen story will be over by 2025. Even if he gets his family, he's probably going to be involved in the background story in some way. Maybe we can even see two Richtofens come face to face once again. I think that would be interesting, especially if they're so radically different from one another, like all Richtofens have been, but similar at the same time. Now let's go over the leaks. So first of all, regarding the wonder weapon. As you know, a pistol has been found in the files of the game, a pistol wonder weapon. So it seems like that's what it's going to be. Now I've seen some people speculating that it might be Alistair's Folly from Dead of the Night, which would have of course much better fit Shattered Veil, but we had ray guns on the map anyways. I don't think it's going to be that just because we've just had a ray gun. It's basically another ray gun. I don't think they're going to do that back to back. I guess it's possible, but I'm really hoping Janus Towers finally gets an original wonder weapon, because so far the only original ones have been the swords on Citadel and the beam smasher on Terminus, which is kind of just reusing old wonder weapons anyways with fresh paint. So it would be nice for the final map to get a new wonder weapon. And there has also been a handheld railgun found in the files of the game. I don't know if this is the same thing as this pistol wonder weapon that's elite, or this is something separate coming just to multiplayer or in the battle pass or something. I don't know, but that's something that could potentially be one and the same. I think a railgun would make a lot of sense for this map because it would shoot sort of like these drill ammunition rounds, and if we are going to be fighting the Sam AI as the boss fight, she's encased in this metal chamber, obviously, and as he talked about in that prior video, we need to be able to penetrate that metal surely in order to defeat her. And on Shattered Veil, if you shoot it with the ray gun or the Mark II, she just laughs it off and it doesn't damage her at all. If you shoot it with any weapons on Shattered Veil, it doesn't do anything. So surely we're going to need some sort of special weapon that's able to deeply penetrate the rounds, and I'm thinking of something that is sort of shoots like sharp metal arrows, maybe powered by Ethereum or something that's able to penetrate deep surfaces like her chamber. And maybe Zykov is in the core and we need to basically pierce through to kill Zykov in the middle, which would kill the SAM AI that it's powering. So other than that, that's pretty much the only leak we have regarding the wonder weapon. We don't know what it's like, we don't know what it's going to function. Obviously we need to take this with a grain of salt as always. This could be cut content or misinterpreted like with everything. The next major leak is regarding the Mechaklaus enemy type. Now, again, there isn't really too much to say about this, other than the fact it's been found in the files. Now, obviously, Klaus was the metal robot that Richtofen sent in to Mauer der Toten to kill the people who were uncovering information on Janus. At the end of the Easter egg, though, he sacrifices himself to detonate the Valentina warheads from within the Dark Ether, but it's a robot, it's an AI, so it can be duplicated over and over again. Maybe in the Janus Towers facility, there's a particular room or something like that is specifically mass manufacturing these robots for Janus Towers. But the term Mechaklaus implies that it's going to be a different version of Klaus than what we've seen before, and the big speculation that I've been talking about and a lot of people have been talking about is maybe it's just going to be a reskinned Panzer Soldat with the core robot of Klaus in the center. It would be awesome to see Klaus on the map. I thought he was so much fun. Craig Houston said he was one of the most fun people, or I guess robots in this case, to write for on Mauer der Toten. He was so funny, and it's so fitting. I think it matches the vibes of Janus Towers so much, with it being more of a techno-science style map, a sci-fi map, and maybe that also ties into the wonder weapon, which is why I don't think it's going to be Alistair's Folly, which is a more magical weapon. I think it will probably be something more scientific, which I think a railgun perfectly fits, and again, Mechaklaus I think fits that sort of vibe that Janus Towers is probably going to be like. And it's been speculated for a while now that Klaus is based off of Richtofen's AI, similar to the Cerberus being based on some of the other Requiem heads, and that was a way for him to personally do his bidding on Mauer der Toten without actually being there, and this could properly confirm that. I mean, there was a new piece of intel, interestingly, on Shattered Veil that mentions Klaus and talks about Klaus, and he's not been mentioned since Cold War, so I find it interesting he's brought up again right before we're about to get Janus Towers, and he's the only enemy type found in the files that has not released yet, so I think there's a big possibility he could be on the map. The other enemy type that's been found in the files for a while now is the Hellhounds, and honestly I was surprised we didn't see it on Shattered Veil. I was really expecting it, and honestly part of me feels like it was intended for Shattered Veil and it got cut because we have the Friendly Vermin side quest, and you see it actually spawns in from a doghouse, weirdly enough, and even fire bursts out of it like the Hellhounds. So maybe this side quest was initially concepted for it being a Hellhound, but then it got cut from the game. And there's more evidence for this as well, because in the intel for the map as well, we do actually hear that Richtofen seems to have taken care of Not So Fluffy, Samantha's dog, as we can hear it barking in the background of the intel where he talks about the failed clone of his son Samuel.
Do you feel like a failure? No. I am the failure.
And in Modern Warfare Zombies, the Hellhounds model looks similar to Not So Fluffy, so maybe Richtofen, similar to the Ether Days, did experiments on Samantha's dog, and it became the new version of the Hellhounds that we eventually see come Modern Warfare Zombies, because we do collect a dog collar in one of the Rift quests as well, so maybe Ava as a child, when she is born by Grey and her might look after her after Richtofen is done with her. I'm not exactly sure how Not So seemingly becomes the new Hellhound, but it probably happens somewhere along the lines. So I think the Hellhounds do make a lot of sense for the map, but it could be something cut. I mean, especially if they didn't come to Shattered Veil, if they were planning it and then it got cut, it could be safe for Janus Towers, or maybe they're gone entirely. I really am getting frustrated just seeing the spiders over and over again, and the parasites. I want something fresh. Even though we've seen Hellhounds over and over again, it's there from the start of Zombies. It's just so nostalgic, and we haven't seen it in this game. I know we saw it in Modern Warfare Zombies, but a lot didn't play that, so we've not seen them in round base since for a little while, and you know, one map in this game I think would be fresh. Now finally, regarding perks and ammo mods. Now obviously these might release with Janus Towers. If there's a gap season at some point, maybe that could release in there. We don't exactly know, because 2 more perks have been found in the files of the game. However, there's only 1 slot left on the Wonder Fizz machine. Now the 2 perks left are Tombstone as well as Mule Kick. I don't know which one's going to release. I think Mule Kick makes the most sense with the Mark II about to release on all maps. We need to be able to hold 3 weapons. At the same time though, Kevin Drew did express that Tombstone didn't go right when it was implemented in Cold War, and like he did with the jet gun on Liberty Falls making it beloved, he likes taking old things that weren't as beloved and making them beloved again. Now in Modern Warfare Zombies, people did like Tombstone, but it was an open world experience, very different, so it could function differently. But if they bring Tombstone back in a round-based experience, I'm not sure how exactly it would work and how they would get it right with the augment system so that it's actually something people use, because when Kevin Drew did a poll on Twitter a while ago, it was the least rated perk out of all of them from Cold War. So yeah, maybe both of these perks will come, maybe one in a gap season, or maybe only one of them. We will just have to wait and see. Of course, the Wonder Fizz can have more slots added like what happened before compared to launch, unlike what happened in Cold War. And in terms of ammo mods, Shatter Blast has also been found in the files, so that could either be one coming in a dud season, or it might be the one coming with Janus Towers. The final thing I want to talk about is Gobblegums. So in the files of the game, Power Vacuum has been found in Epic, which increases the power-up spawn rate, and also absolutely over there in Epic, a new one. We're not sure what that is, but maybe you can teleport to a specific location as opposed to a random one, like anywhere but here. Kevin Drew also said pre-launch, or at least hinted at it, that shopping free would be coming, which would give all purchases free for a certain amount of time. I think they would nerf it compared to how it used to be, but it wouldn't even work as good in this game, considering now you have like tier 3 pack-a-punch, etc. It would be really overpowered as well, just being able to spam that. So I don't know how it would work if they brought it back, but it would be a good one to add at the end because it is such an overpowered Gobblegum, but they definitely need to balance it right compared to before. But if it's added right at the end and it does sort of change the balancing, at least then it's at the end and then not at the start, sort of giving you a reason to go back to old maps in an easier fashion. So that's all of the leaks about Janus Towers, but the last bit is speculation, because lots of people have been talking about they really want a grapple hook on this map, and we saw a grapple hook in the campaign, we saw it in Outbreak, and it was so much fun, and I think it fits this map perfectly. We have these giant cooling towers, surely there's got to be a way to get up there. Now, are there going to be elevator shafts similar to in Shattered Vale, maybe broken ones that we need to repair and we need to get up? We do see, like I said before, they are all on fire and breaking, so I'm guessing inside them is going to be very, very destroyed, but if we actually look at Janus Towers, the facility itself that people are able to look at with the Hellstorm missile, you can see there's other facilities outside we can go in, so it's not just the towers. It does seem like you can go all outside the nuclear factory as well as the towers themselves. It seems like it's going to be a very expansive map. I think a grapple hook would be great for this map and would make things easier to traverse, but probably to combat the flow, there needs to be a way to get from each of these different towers, so maybe there's jump pads back or something like that. That would make a lot of sense. Maybe there's broken parts even on each of the towers where the blue Ethereum stuff or whatever it is, 115, allows you to sort of boost from them to jump from each different one. But yeah, this map is going to be on fire. The towers are cooling down, so there might be some sort of countdown tick or timer, or at least during the Easter egg that could actually happen where you're on a time limit during this and you need to be quick with some steps before it's melting down. And it's going to be a really chaotic and disastrous map. I cannot wait to see the inside of how destroyed these towers are. Now, speaking of, we may potentially have a new look at Janus Towers. However, I don't actually think this is the case. So as I said before, we've been able to see pretty much the overview, the outside area of the full map from what we've been able to see with the Hellstorm missile from looking at it outside of Shattered Vale, because it's a much more high quality version than the version we saw in Liberty Falls. However, people think we might have another look actually inside the towers or inside the facilities themselves on some of the monitors that we see on Shattered Vale, which I'll be showing some images of on screen, and you can see that there's papers floated everywhere, there's fire, there's lots of things destroyed. It probably looks like what inside this factory looks like. It's a facility map. I know people don't like facility maps, but I think it matches the vibe perfectly for this. I think the problem with facility maps is just getting too many back to back, but I think Black Ops 6 has had a good variety of map locales. I think it's good to go back to a facility right at the end, especially one that is being destroyed and actively melting down as we're playing. It's going to completely change the stakes of the map in a way we haven't seen really ever, I think. But yeah, you can see from these images things are absolutely chaotic, but as many people have pointed out in response to this is just the second mission from the campaign where we are rescuing Adler. Now, it is very well possible that some of these sections might be reused in the Janus Towers, some of these buildings. I do think it's a bit unlikely. Trek did say they don't want to just be reusing campaign locations for this game. It's possible there are just some small sections, but I find it odd that they would go back on their word last second, or at the very least, they might just be reusing assets. It might not be the same rooms, but it might use some similar textures, some similar table models, computer models. You know, the general look and aesthetic could be very, very similar. I could totally see that, and maybe Trek just reuse these images from the campaign mission here to sort of visualize that without actually rebuilding it, because Janus Towers might not be fully ready yet, and this is still a teaser for it without actually showing us it directly. So there's a few different angles you can take here. In fact, even maybe the grey recording from 1996 in Modern Warfare Zombies to Ava Jansen could have actually been recorded inside of Janus Towers, because it does give a sort of similar facility vibe and setting. Obviously, we can't really see the room, so it's hard to tell, but maybe that's the case. But honestly, I'm kind of expecting this to not be explained until Black Ops 7 now, just judging by how little time is left to fill in a lot of the storyline gaps and connections to Modern Warfare Zombies. Obviously, we know they die in Urzikstan, which was probably never the initial intention, but it was probably mandated by Infinity Ward to make the story a part of the Modern Warfare universe, if I had to guess, and they do have the device that they die in the background of that grey recording, so it's very well possible this cutscene takes place in Urzikstan and not Janus Towers, unless they teleport from location. But like I said, to be honest, I think where they die doesn't really matter. They probably had the story concept for them dying written beforehand before being mandated to make Modern Warfare Zombies, which probably disrupted Black Ops 6 Zombies' development and their plans that they probably initially had. But let me know all of your thoughts on all of this in the comment section below. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.